Welcome to episode 35 of the Loane Hockey Podcast, where today we're going to be talking about a player who was traded at the NHL trade deadline this past season. And he was traded from the Buffalo Sabres to the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for Bowen Byram. And that is Casey Mittelstadt. Now we're going to talk about Casey Mittelstadt specifically in his time with Colorado in that stretch run that he had throughout the rest of the regular season in Colorado and also throughout his brief playoff run with the Avalanche. And specifically, I want to talk about Mittelstadt's run throughout the playoffs because you look at his game and the makeup of his game, it's really built on a playmaker's edge in terms of him being built for pro hockey and being built for playoff hockey as well. And obviously, he was drafted very high back in 2017, and now he's starting to live up to his full potential, even more so in the back half of his NHL career thus far, and how well he's been able to play and be more consistent. And we saw that in very brief stints with Colorado, and there were some times where he was really noticeable in terms of generating shot share, generating on ice expected goal numbers, being able to generate quality shots, interior shots, being able to get to interior space. And you notice a different level of his game and in his makeup of his game when he played with Colorado compared to Buffalo. Now you notice more of that throughout the past year and a half or so when he's playing in Buffalo with how well he could actually generate plays, how well he could generate possession, how well he can transition the puck. So there's more pace and fluidity to his game that he had back in junior and that you saw within his skill that made him a top 10 back not only in junior but in high school as well. And the makeup of Mittelstadt's game is really starting to come together, the complete package now. His two-way play, his ability to play in transition, his ability to push the pace, be a play driver, be a guy who can attack the middle lane with purpose. And you see a lot of these different elements come together and create a sense of camaraderie around his game and how well and how effective he's been able to manage the puck and be able to manage possessions at many different paces. And in Colorado, obviously, they play a very up-tempo style system, and that's a big thing that made Middlestat adjust very quickly is the pace and how well he could actually adapt to that pace. And he had to adapt in certain situations to his line mates at higher paces, being able to generate with speed, being able to move pucks with speed, being able to kick out on entry with speed, being able to drive the middle lane with speed, understanding different components that go into playing with pace and being able to get to areas on time and in a timely way that allows not only him but his team to be able to generate inside the offensive zone. And he's very effective being able to understand on puck play and being able to link together his first touch to the next sequence. And with Middlestat, what you noticed a lot throughout his playoff run was his ability to activate on first touch and be a threat on first touch. And that's something that some players have a harder time trying to do and actually maintain over time. But with Middlestat, he did it consistently throughout the playoffs where you see upon first touch, he'd be able to advance the puck into the next space. He can advance the puck into that space with speed, and he can also understand how to lead himself into better spaces upon retrieval as well. Now, with Middlestat, he is very interesting to watch throughout that playoff run as well in terms of not only generating off first touch, but being able to generate in interior space and being able to generate in the inside and being able to maneuver. And you saw a lot of different dangles, a lot of different maneuvers from him in terms of how he's able to manage the puck, toe drag, be able to cut around a defenseman, be able to utilize his offensive instincts around the net to be able to be a threat and be a threat not only as a puck carrier but a shooter and also passer. Sometimes you saw some passing elements in interior space that were very intriguing, and not only the power play but also 5-on-5 and regularly off the rush as well. And I saw a lot of noticeable traits and noticeable aspects within his ability to manipulate and be able to utilize toe drags, utilize dangles, utilize different methods of being able to manipulate with the puck. And off the puck, he's very effective as well in the playoffs and how well he can control the boards, be able to create spaces, create seams, create passing lanes, be able to be a threat off the puck and be able to find ways to open up space. And so it's so underrated when talking about his game and how consistent he is and how consistent he can be at utilizing that as well. And when you look at his off puck play, his patterning, and how he can adapt off the puck really nicely, it's really intriguing to watch the whole makeup of his game off the puck and how well he can really maneuver and be able to be a threat off the puck to link together his on puck play as well. And off the puck, he's a viable support option. So you're getting a two-way center who can play at both ends of the rink. He's really good at supporting low in the defensive zone as a centerman and being able to support his defenseman and be able to be involved there on many different occasions was really noticeable from him, and how well he can translate that to the offensive structure very quickly and be able to transition pucks quickly and be able to move pucks with pace as well. And so there are a lot of different options in terms of how he can create and how he can manage the offense and manage the offense specifically coming from the defensive zone. And there were times where he would be able to manage the puck in so many different ways, and he can control breakouts too. And that was another thing, another big thing with him is how he could control exits and control breakout play individually by puck carrying and being able to find passing options and outlet passes as well. And with his game in the offensive zone, what's really intriguing about him is how he links together different sequences and his adaptability with the puck. And that's one of the most intriguing attributes when looking at his game and his puck skills specifically, because there'd be a lot of different moments in many different games where he could really adapt fluidly with the puck. He could toe drag around the defenseman without losing speed. Or if he'd get a bad pass, he could corral it and find a way to make it look like a really good pass. And he can turn bad pucks into good ones. He can find ways to understand how to manage the puck with poise and an understanding of how to get to the next sequence as well. So that was really intriguing. And his shooting was actually really intriguing as well. Now, you don't necessarily look at him as a purely shooting based type of player, but when you look at him more in depth and how he fared on that playoff run with Colorado, you look at how he can create volume into shots, how he can create a number of shots in many different ways. It can be off the one timer, but also off his wrist shot. His wrist shot showed a lot more nuance and a lot more diversity in terms of how he could shoot the puck and how he could beat the goaltender. He could beat goalies more high and beat goalies in the upper part of the net more often. And he can get shots off clean from interior space to find those upper parts of the net. And he's more of a threat as a shot threat type player because he understood how to shoot high on goalies. So it tested the goalies a little bit more throughout the playoffs, and it allowed him to be able to use his shot in many different ways. He could shoot high, mid, low, whatever it may be. He would be able to find space and find space in many different ways. So as a shot threat, he's especially noticeable. But you always come back to the playmaking when it comes to his game, and that's what really makes him such an elite player and an elite play driver. Is his playmaking, his pass first game, his vision, his ability to understand space, his heads up awareness, because when he's controlling the puck, he's gotten a lot better over the years, being able to control the puck with his head up to be able to control possession fluidly and be able to understand where his teammates are and understand ice geography a little bit better compared to other playmakers at that center position. And obviously, he's still younger, still got a lot of time left ahead of him to continue to evolve in the Avalanche system, especially as an up tempo system. That's going to be really good for him because it's going to force him to adapt at higher speeds and could potentially allow him to change his game a little bit more to be able to be more of a high speed player individually. So we could see him evolve into more of a speedy player in the future with the makeup of his game and how he can continue to adapt and transition off the rush, on entry, that type of thing, especially when it comes to the neutral zone play. Being able to have speed in those regards and those elements can be very important for him to adapt as a higher speed player heading into the future. But going back to the playmaking, what's really intriguing about playmaking is his ability to pass through sticks, pass through seams, pass through feet. He can pass through many different ways. He's got that special touch as a playmaker, and it's very rare to find an elite pass first player. Obviously, centermen are typically better at moving the puck and being able to be pass first players more than any other position. Sometimes you can argue defensemen as well, but in terms of centers, naturally they have the gifted ability to be able to move the puck as quickly and efficiently as they can, especially if they're an elite player. And Mittelstadt has that elite ability to make plays. So that's what intrigues me about his game is you can potentially look at him as a first line center option. If there are injury issues or something happens in the future, he could be and he can fill that void as a first line center because of his playmaking and his ability to understand how to find those seams, find those passing elements, and find those different components on the ice and in the offensive zone that can link together different possession sequences. So with the makeup of Mittelstadt's game and his two-way play, his transition play, how he's continued to evolve, and how well he played throughout that playoff run in Colorado, there's a lot more potential. He could potentially evolve into at least a 70, 75 plus point scorer. And obviously, it depends a little bit more on ice time than anything else, but he's going to be playing on the first unit on the power play. He's going to get second line center ice time. Obviously, Nathan McKinnon's first line center, so he'll be right there, right behind him. But he's going to play a lot, and that's the thing about him. He's going to be playing a lot in many different situations, not only offensively, but defensively can be relied upon more heading in the future as well. And his offensive impact is obviously very crucial to Colorado in the future and how well they can continue to play and how well they can continue to adapt systematically as well.